Local programming on KRWG Public Media made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to a new season of Fronteras, a Changing America. I'm Anthony Morano. A new dental school of medicine is ready to serve the Borderland. Joining us to share more about this is Dr. Richard Black, who is the Dean of the Woody L. Hunt School of Dental Medicine at Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center in El Paso. Dr. Black, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Well, it's really exciting to learn about this new dental school in our region. Can you share with us a little bit about the mission of the school and what it's going to offer the area?
Well, I think the mission of the school is the same mission as the Health Sciences Center that we belong to here at Texas Tech. And that is two major things. One is to educate future healthcare leaders. And the second thing is to take care of the population that's very unique to southern New Mexico and the borderlands. Texas Tech University system, which is the third largest system in Texas, made the decision politically and financially to establish a dental school in Western Texas. So they picked the largest population area, which would include Las Cruces and Juarez for that matter, and said, let's put the dental school where we need it the most. And that is in an area that's very underserved as far as general dentists as well as specialists. All of southern New Mexico is underserved as compared to national numbers. And certainly all of Western Texas is underserved. So the idea is that students tend to stay and practice where they train. Which is one way to explain why almost 60% of the licensees in Texas practice in 5 counties. And 3 of those counties out of the 5 happen to be where the dental schools are currently: Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio.
Wow, and that's really something. I want to talk a little bit about the need for the region to have more dental professionals in the area. I know you contributed to an op-ed in the Dallas Morning News in 2018 stating that 54 counties in Texas have no dentists, and most of them are located in West Texas. Can you share a little bit more about the need?
Yeah, it's a tremendous problem. You know, everything that you would consider to be west of I-35 is considered to be Western Texas, and that includes some pretty big cities like Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, Abilene, San Angelo, El Paso. And so what happens is, you know, we have some bright people that come from our area, but what happens to them is we don't get them back after they go down and train. Either they are impressed with that part of Texas. There's more opportunity, possibly. They meet someone down there, and so they end up staying. There was a study that we did for the legislature that showed out of 10 years of the 3 dental schools graduating 300 students a year. So that's 3,000 students. Over 10 years, we only had 22 dentists return to Western Texas out of all those dentists. So the idea that they don't have a dentist in 54 counties is true. They also don't have a physician or a nurse practitioner or a Walmart for that matter. So, you know, it's not that Western Texans or Southern New Mexicans, you know, are not resilient. They try to find healthcare where they can, but there are places now where there's simply not a dentist for 200 miles and people have to try to drive there. And that's part of the problem of why we have the kind of chronic health conditions that we do in our part of the world, is we just don't have access to really good care. And if we don't have transportation, we don't have a high dental IQ, there's not a dentist in town, people tend to not go. 50% of El Paso County is being registered as not seeing a dentist on a regular basis, maybe never. And we do know that if your oral health is poor, your overall health is going to be poor. So if you have some of the chronic conditions that we see in our part of the world, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, cancer, all of that's going to be worse if you don't have access to good oral health care and then use that access to make sure you have good oral health.
Okay, now you mentioned a statistic about many people in El Paso not being able to go to see a dentist. Why is that? What research and data are you looking at that explains why that's happening?
Well, I think it's a multifactorial problem. One is dental IQ, or the lack of being taught that dental care is important. And that starts when you're a child, and you need to go to the dentist, find somebody that you like, and get in the habit of going. Number two, I think transportation is an issue, and certainly finances is an issue. It costs money, and if you don't have dental insurance, you're not likely to use it. What we do find, it doesn't matter whether you're low income or medium income or high income, is that about 50% of the people who have dental insurance don't use it on a regular basis. So that's an education problem, and it's a primary care problem, and it's what dentistry used to do more of and needs to do more, and that is get out there, be the preventive specialists that we've always been, but make sure that people understand that you can't neglect your dental care.
Okay, now you say that if at an early age people are introduced to a dentist, then they're going to continue to go to the dentist. Is that what you're saying?
They're more likely to go on a regular basis as young adults and older adults. You just get used to get in the habit of going and have your parents take you. I mean, there's all kinds of particularly special problems that when you're growing up and you have baby teeth and you lose those and you're in a transition period, or maybe you have some skeletal issues that need to be looked at or talked about. It's real important to start going. And then what we find is that once people start going, they stay going. But if you have to drive 200 miles, or if someone is not available to you, then you're not ever going to get in the habit of going to the dentist.
I see. A $25 million gift helped create this school. What can you tell us about the opportunities that students will have if they choose to attend this school?
Well, I can tell you there's only 65 dental schools in North America. And the reason there's only 65, as I say, compared to almost 300 medical schools, is it's just so dang expensive to start one. So the fact that we had two foundations in El Paso, one, the Woody and Gail Hunt Family Foundation for $25 million, the other Paso del Norte for $6 million, made a huge difference to the startup, because if the legislature supports you in Texas and says, yes, you can have a school, and yes, we'll help you with some of your student costs, you don't really recoup those costs until A, the students start going and paying tuition, and B, the legislature helps you with some money. In the meantime, you have to do all this yourself. And so you better have some money in the bank to get the things that need to be done, such as accreditation, and especially the facilities. Dental offices are expensive to start anyway. So when you imagine that we're building a clinic with 145 operatories in it, it's a very expensive proposition. It also tells our Texas legislature that, hey, the citizens of the community of El Paso and southern New Mexico want this school here. They put the money up, so you need to help them now. And it sends a powerful message to the folks that distribute the cash down in Austin, Texas.
What about students? How are things looking with your incoming class? Can you share with us how many you
Yeah,
expect and what are they going to be doing?
thanks. We're going to have a terrific crop in every year, but I think this first year in particular, there is a pool of about 1,000 people that we had to choose from. That it's very competitive in Texas to go to dental school. These are top-notch students, similar to medical applying students or veterinary students. They're going to average about 3.7 on their GPA. They're excellent folks that have accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. And they're excited to come because of the curriculum, number one. That is a very advanced curriculum. It's similar to the Paul Foster School of Medicine here, where you're learning integrative biomedical knowledge along with your clinical style. You're going to start clinic sooner than most dental schools. 6 weeks after you get here, you're going to be seeing a live patient, not just to watch or not just maybe even to clean their teeth, but to actually do a procedure on them. That's very attractive to our incoming students. Our students are going to be learning Spanish, professional Spanish that is very attractive to a lot of them. You know, it used to be kind of like if you're going to practice in El Paso or Las Cruces, you need to know Spanish. Well, then it became if you're going to practice in Texas or New Mexico or Arizona, you need to learn Spanish. Well, now I think you need to learn Spanish on a national basis because the best way for a dentist or a physician to really, really seriously communicate with a patient and not through an interpreter is to talk to them in a language that they're comfortable with. So we have a public health focus about learning how to assist your community. You're going to get a public health certificate, which is part of on your way to getting a master's in public health, but that's what you'd like to do. So kind of those four things early into the clinic, a really integrated curriculum, Spanish, and then a dental public health certificate is really attracting some top-notch people to El Paso.
Now you mentioned there would be some opportunities for students to be able to help patients in the area. Can you talk a little bit more about how the school is going to engage the community?
Well, you know, as a native El Pasoan and a local practitioner in orthodontics for almost 40 years, I can tell you that this school is such a gift to this area. We're bringing some really internationally and nationally known people in their field here to teach, number one, and they're going to bring that expertise to town. Number two, we're going to provide a opportunity for local dentists from this region, frankly, to be exposed to some continuing education. Number three, we're going to offer a low cost alternative for people who don't go to the dentist because they can't afford to go. At this rate, we're talking about you paying many times about 50% of what you would pay normally. And we're going to have an emergency clinic, which I think is going to relieve our hospital emergency rooms around here from people who have, you know, an abscessed tooth or some chronic pain. If you're an economist, you look at this school arriving that will probably contribute on the average about $60 million a year to the economy. If you're a dental researcher or someone who's interested in Hispanic dental health, which there's not a lot of research in that area, this is a tremendous place to come and work with this population. So the school brings a variety of really important things to our region.
Some students who decide they want to go to dental school may find how expensive it is. The American Dental Education Association in 2019 reported that in that year over 292,000, or I'm sorry, that dental students coming out of school were in debt at over $292,000. That's a lot of debt compared to $55,000 in 1990 coming out of school in 2019, of course, and that's a pretty large amount. So How do you address that with the incoming class of students, knowing that there is a chance that they could be in a lot of student loan debt when they decide to go to school?
Yeah, there's no getting around it. A dental school education is probably the most expensive post-college education you can do. And it's because I think the practice of dentistry, the professional practice, clinical practice every day is changing so rapidly. It's becoming much more expensive to staff a school, man a school with the kind of digital type products there is out there today. And it is something that I think should be concerning to everybody about the kind of debt that folks are carrying. A lot of people start borrowing money as soon as they leave high school. And so they bring some of that debt with them from college. That shouldn't disqualify them, and it doesn't. I will tell you on the other side of the coin that dentists are less than 1% default on their student loans because they're able to, with the opportunity they have with a dental degree, to pay those notes off quicker than most folks.
Well, I mean, you're somebody who obviously, as dean of a college of this dental school, you're going to be able to work with people in the community, legislators. They're going to want to know how things are going and what you need. If you could be in front of them and tell them, hey, how can we address this issue? And they ask you that, what are you going to tell them?
Well, the people that are real interested in the school are given an opportunity to donate to our scholarship fund. Every student in that class is going to get some financial aid. Some are going to get more than others because of scholarship opportunities offered by folks, but everybody is going to get some financial aid because of the generosity of a lot of donors that have lined up to help us. They're very interested in the school. They certainly would like to see local and regional folks. We've made an arrangement to take some New Mexico students because New Mexico doesn't have a dental school. We want to be the family dentist for this region. And so people that are interested are contributing certainly to the welfare of these students in the form of scholarships. Part of the money that's being donated through the foundations will go to help alleviate some of that. But the Texas schools, frankly, are in the bottom 20% in cost of dental schools elsewhere. So that average is kind of skewed by a lot of West Coast and East Coast dental schools.
I see. I want to talk with you about the pandemic. How has the pandemic impacted dental and oral health? What do we know about COVID-19 and how it is impacting our oral health? What have we found out?
Well, I think what we found out about the pandemic was that people were frightened, and certainly, well, so they were frightened, and they stopped going to anywhere. They were locked down for a while, and then they were slow going back to the dentist's office. It affected dental practices. It affected dental schools. We're having to kind of close down these very important small group session, flipped classroom, hands-on kind of education. It has been a very tough year for dental schools and been a very tough year for dentists in being able to see their patients. But I can tell you that the dentist's office is one of the safest places to be, especially now with the vaccines. But beforehand, it was a very safe place to be because dentists understand infection control better than most people. Other than a hospital operating room, a dental office, the personnel there are trained to be safe. They know how to keep you safe, and they know how to keep themselves safe. As a person who practiced for 40 years, I can tell you that dentistry has seen a lot of pandemics. This is probably number 5, and we've kept our patients safe throughout this. And one of the messages that I like to say when I have an opportunity is don't neglect your oral health at this point because it will make things worse. So people are afraid to go to the hospital. And I think the hospitals now are seeing that they have some serious problems on their doorstep because folks have have simply just not gone when they had a problem or they hadn't gone to the doctor's office. Same way with your dental care. But again, dentists have been the folks that lead the way in infection control, and they know how to keep their offices safe.
What about research? Obviously, students will have a chance to become more familiar with oral health, and but I want to talk with you a little bit more about the pandemic. I mean, what are dentists discovering how COVID-19 is impacting oral health?
Well, it's more so a lack of regular visits. It's difficult, and unless you're just really good at taking care of your teeth, you need a partner in that, and that's your dental office. And everybody needs to go at least twice a year. So if you're not going, your oral health is suffering a little bit. It's a complicated area, the oral cavity. It's got a lot of bacteria that can either be helpful or not very helpful. And I think because of that, the pandemic actually caused people not to want to go. Now, molecularly or genetically, we don't really know what's going to happen. With COVID, I think there's a lot of questions to be answered. But we do know that it was it's an aerosol-borne virus. So the idea that you work within 6 inches of a person's mouth with the kind of filtering and capture of aerosol particles is really important. Again, all of the research that I've seen, and I get a chance to look at a lot of different journals and research papers, is that the transmission between a dentist and a patient, or a patient and a dentist, of COVID is less than 0.1% so far. Now, they're going to find out a lot of things, but I can tell you we don't have a lot of patients catching COVID from dental personnel and vice versa.
Now, we've talked about the need for dental professionals in the area and folks in the area who aren't able to see a dentist for various reasons. One may be having insurance. We know that older folks, older Americans, may not be going to the dentist as well. Some data from U.S. Health and Human Services said in 2017, slightly less than 1/3 of adults age 65 and over had dental insurance. How do you think this is being addressed right now in our country and in our region as far as making dental insurance more available?
Well, I think there's a move afoot politically on a national basis to add dental funding to Medicare. Now, that's a tricky business. I think Medicare for most people after they reach 65 is very good care, except for dental care, which there is almost none. 99% of it is no dental care. So if that benefit could be added, and it could be the right kind of benefit to attract dental practitioners, then I think that would help a lot. I think that the Affordable Care Act was very important for lots of people, but what happened was it mandated that children get dental insurance. And when that was mandated, a lot of parents dropped their own dental insurance so they could afford to cover their kids. So right now, I think the people, especially in this region, that are being looked at by dentists are people under the age of 18. And so we want to encourage people to get dental insurance if they, it's not a real expensive insurance. If your employer adds it, please use it, or please spend an extra few dollars a month to have it as part of your health package and then use it. That's the important part.
Okay, now we just have under 2 minutes left in the program, but I'd like to hear from you. What are your goals over the next few years with this school? What would you like to see happen?
Well, this is a great start. We don't have the facilities yet built here at the Health Sciences Center to have a huge, large school that would have all the specialties. This is going to be a school for general dentists, but it's going to be a school that trains not only local folks and encourages them to get immersed in their community and to pay attention as to what the overall needs of the community are. We know we're not going to keep them all here. They're going to go back to Austin and Houston and Dallas, where a lot of them are going to be from. But we want them to understand that they need to immerse themselves in the culture of where they are. They need to be leaders in public health in their community. And they need to have a part of their own heart that says, I'm going to help people that need help. And if we graduate people like that, then we're going to feel like we've been a big success.
We just have about 30 seconds left on the program, but I'd like to hear from you as someone who practiced in the field for 39 years, to be able to come back and give back to the next generation of dental professionals. How does that feel?
It's a thrill. It's a thrill every day, and it's a labor of love. And I'm so excited to get to do this. And when people see me or talk to me, they know that this is one of the best things that could happen to my hometown and my region and the folks that I know. But personally, it is just a wonderful thing to happen. So thanks a lot for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Richard Black. He is the Dean of the Woody Hunt School of Dental Medicine at Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center in El Paso. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, Anthony.
And we want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Fronteras, Changing America. I'm Anthony Moreno. We'll see you next time.